All right, welcome in everyone to Titan Esports Divinity League. We're here in week number 6 of the 7-week regular season. Of course, we have playoffs after that. My name is Caleb Pang. I'm joined by Professor Mouse. We missed you last week, but welcome back. How are you doing?
Better than good, better than most, and some days better than that. I'm so excited to be back and see you all again. I was here for the open qualifiers yesterday, if you missed me, and now I'm here to see the match between Agape and Circuit Esports.
Yes, definitely. And the records between these two are going to be
Conduit.
interesting. So Conduit Esports 3-2 in the season, and then Agape Esports 1-4. But looking at the players' ranks, I think these can still be pretty close matches. So we'll kind of see how that goes. But yeah, rounding out our regular season pretty soon, our second to last week. And of course, we have TFF Astronauts and Monkey Supreme tied for that first place finish. TFF Astronauts actually slightly ahead based on taking one less game loss, but overall record the same. So we'll be excited to see that. But before we see their action, we're going to see some between these two teams. What are you looking forward to in today's match, Professor Malice?
Well, let me give you first things first. We've just started the stream. I've already made a fumble. It's Conduit Esports. Don't know where Circuit come from. The short circuiting in my brain is clearly not working. Now, what I'm excited about in this match is, well, I'm hoping this might be a 3-game series. Interesting story is Agape is at the bottom of the pool right now. They're 1-4. they're 1-4, but they did beat Illusion Esports for their one win. And Illusion was able to beat Conduit Esports Retribution for their one win, meaning that looking through the match history, there's a fair possibility that this is going to be a contested match. One of our players today, one of our teams today has beaten a winning team against our opposing rosters today. Oh, fumbling my words, but we are good and we are great, and I'm sure that the match is going to be more hectic than the slur of words coming out of my mouth right now.
All right, well, let's get into the draft. We got Agape Esports, I believe, on the blue side to start things off, and then Conduit will be on the red side. We get a Lulu ban right away, which is interesting. Lulu did get nerfed in the most recent patch, but maybe some mastery on there. And we had a Kale ban on the side of Conduit. So maybe some targeted bans against Agape's players. I think in the Divinity League, a lot of the success of the teams will probably hinge on the mastery of the players more than maybe what's a meta pick, right? Because I think last week I was casting with Sador, and he was like, "Oh, why are they just letting some of these top meta picks go through and not banned or picked?" I was like, well, it just kind of depends, right? Skarner was a good example of that, actually. But going to be banning out Skarner, very, very strong in the jungle right now. We banned the Tom Kench and the Diana, too. So one more ban left. It could be knocked out. A lot of jungle bans.
In previous matches, I made a fuss about the Victor getting through. And an interesting thing to consider is, well, what makes a team viable? And when it comes down to performance, there are two things. There's that technical mastery, how well can you actually pilot the champion, what are the skills of the player, and then the ease of observation, how easy is it to operate those characters. There's not a lot of skill expression on something like Malphite, so you don't need a lot of games or a lot of practice on it. Or Lulu as an enchanter is also a very easy to play champion compared to some other enchanters out there with a high degree of synergy with strong ADCs that are popular, such as Jinx, Ashe, and Varus. When making your bans, you have to weigh out the ease of ability to be played, how easy it is to pilot something, and how skilled the opponents might be on that pick. So you could see some bans on the meta, things that take more skill to execute on, being ignored if they don't believe their opponents can deliver.
That's right. And looks like we have our top lane and jungle picks from both sides already to a little Cassante versus Garen action, then J4 versus Lily, and then we got Hui as well. So speaking of skill expression, a lot of skill expression on these champs so far. Particularly, so these just a heads up too, these aren't in particular pick order, but they were the respective picks for the draft so far, and we got an Orianna pick too. So we got top, jungle, mid all already locked in. For those that are joining for the first time for Divinity League as well, it's the players in this league are Emerald 4 or lower in their solo queue rank, and it is a fearless draft, best of 3. Fearless meaning anything picked up from either team in any of the previous games cannot be used in future games. So always going to see some, hopefully some diverse picks throughout the games, and it gets really interesting when if we get to game 3, because that's when the pool gets much smaller.
Yeah, the picks are ready. We do see the Cassante, a very strong blind pick for Agape, and followed up by Lilia and Hui as well. Hui might be a possible flex pick there for both the mid or support.
That's right. Yeah, and once in a while we might even see it in the bots, but as we round these picks, we got a Twitch going to be picked up on the side of Conduit. I think this is probably, I think the first Twitch I've seen this season, at least on broadcast for Divinity League, but I could be mistaken. You'll see that very often. It's going to be a Corki as well, probably Corki bot here. And as we're going to round out our final pick for Agape, it's going to be the Alistar. And so I think these are going to be actually in order of where they're positioned if you actually take a look at the icons there. So final support coming through from Conduits. Let's see what's going to be. It's going to be Melio. Okay, interesting. Giving a little bit more heal and some peel for that Twitch could be interesting, but I think the engage from the Alistar is definitely something not to be underestimated. But these are actually the order of how the picks were chosen, and you can see top laners being picked on the later end there too. Looking at the two drafts, Professor Malice, which one are you favoring?
I'm going to have to go with Agape here. I like the front-to-back style that they have. They have a lot of poke with the Corki, a lot of poke with the Hui, disengage options with the Alistar. If they try to dive on the Lilia, she has the ability to try to kite her way outwards, and Cassante is just a very strong, blindable pick that can hold its own against the Garen. I will say, though, that Conduit Esports also has a very strong Wombo comp. They're looking to use the Jarvan as a delivery ball system for the Orianna. If he can lock him down in the Cataclysm, we could see a Hurricane Twitch, or just a Twitch with his ult who's stacked up, getting substantial amounts of damage out on the opposing team. It is a more difficult win condition to execute, but it can go either way. My favor is going to be on Agape for game 1.
I think, yeah, Agape's team definitely looks a little bit more solid, but if Twitch catches any of the carries out, it could be disastrous for them. However, Cassante, even though he's on the tankier side, he also dishes quite a bit of damage, and both the Cassante and Alistar is going to be a little bit harder for this Twitch to take out. So we're going to have to wait and see how that goes. But I'm going to go with Conduit as the team to potentially take this one, but we'll see how that goes.
Right now, both teams are taking a very standard approach to the game. It's a 5-point defense. One of the things that came up in conversation with my co-coach, Jack is his name, is the afternoon, phenomenal guy, is that in many games you do not want to take a risk by going for the invade. You want to keep the game as predictable as possible. And when it comes to League of Legends, it's that first 2.5 minutes that is the most predictable element of the game. You can always predict where you're going to go, what lane you have, and you can choreograph what those first 2-3 minutes are going to look like. And so in this instance, I think neither team is wanting to take any chances. They played the choreographed opening, the 5-point defense, and they assumed their positions waiting for the action to play out.
All right, and here we go. No invasion itself, a little exchange from the two top laners, but nothing too crazy. Garen does have that really great sustain with his passive, so could take some of that damage early on. This mid matchup is going to be interesting too. Control mages as well. Hui definitely being one of the higher skill champions, but in the right hands, it can do a lot of damage and be quite disruptive, I'd say.
Surprised to see that Orianna has been winning the trades there, as she has a shorter range than Hui. Hui should have the ability to out-trade her there, but it's going in Orianna's favor. Bot lane had some action right there. We just saw a level 2 advantage going over to Twitch. We might see some first blood down there, but with Alistar playing defensively and no real engage options available to Melio, it might just be waiting for the rebound and waiting for a gank. We might not see that action.
Yeah, I think the team fight potential is pretty strong for the side of Conduit if they land their ultimates, land their skills well. But I think Agape just has a little bit more flexibility. Even if they don't execute the team fights perfectly, they have a lot more. I don't know. I feel like their whole team has a ton of mobility if you look at it, right? Besides maybe the Hui, but the Hui could fear off enemies diving him, but everything else has a ton of dashes and just ways to get around fights. And so going to be really curious to see how that one plays out.
It's probably gonna be the around the Alistar, then Cassante and Jarvan are gonna be the characters to watch this series. They're the ones who have the ability to initiate a fight and determine the just the circumstance or the environment where these fights break out. And if it's not going to be between them, it's going to fall down to Hui, and if he can burst and poke people out. More exchanges happening in the mid lane. Not too much avail. We see Jarvan going with a can't clear. A gank may be breaking out soon in the next 30 seconds.
And we see the Emilio actually quite low as well. Level advantage already on the side of Agape's bot lane here too. I thought that, with Emilio, the Twitch would be able to CS a little bit more comfortably, but I think D1 Busy is doing quite a good job on this Alistar, just being kind of engaged. Oh, and here comes the engage as well. Headbutt Pulverize coming through, and it looks like the Emilio is just about to get away. No, goes down to the Corki. Definitely not the ADC you want that gold on if you're a Conduit, but a great engage from D1 Busy to secure that first kill.
Late response from the Emilio on the flash there. If he spawned sooner, he might have been able to get away, but the knockup combination from the Alistar using the engage followed by the knockup was allowing them to get enough damage on. Emilio could not get out. Being level 2, it depends on what abilities he has. Is it possible to see what he has? Emilio should be taking the shields early. If he double casted them already, spent them on the Twitch, wouldn't have anything available. Now we do see level 2, he did use the heal. If he took the Q and the heal, he did not have the shields for that fight. A very detrimental decision indeed.
Yeah, the spot lane is already looking pretty tough for Conduit. I guess small saving grace here is Twitch got a little bit solo XP, so it's at least level 4 with the Corki and Alistar. But Corki and Alistar are doing a really great job of just starving this Twitch out of CS and experience. So falling a little bit behind, you don't want Twitch to be too far behind because he definitely needs to scale quite a bit. Attempt to gank here, but not going to be able to do it. And two top laners are going to bashing back and forth a bit here.
Strong return trade from the Garen there, utilizing his ZOY very proficiently. When the Lilia starts to approach, he backs off. As soon as Lilia starts to run away, he re-engages onto the Cassante. And when he uses that spin, it gets bonus damage if it's only hitting one target. In that case, it was only the Cassante. So we see a substantial amount of damage going on to Cassante, putting Garen in a favorable position in this lane. Not only is he going to be able to out-trade him as far as damage goes, but be able to out-sustain due to his passive. His passive being that if he doesn't take damage in a certain amount of time, he gets increased health regeneration, giving a resource advantage to the Garen.
That's right. Taking a look at the gold differential, nothing too crazy. Small gold lead for Agape, but overall a pretty quiet game. I think this Melia and Twitch are just playing with a little bit more respect as D1 Busy is around here. And here comes the pulverized headbutt combination. Bam on this Twitch is in trouble. Melia's trying to peel for the Twitch. I don't know if it's going to be enough though. Corki actually goes quite low. Bam is going to flash out there. Lila is here to reinforce and might be, catches the Twitch. Twitch just walks into that blind bush and the Lila is in the perfect position here at this point in time. Melia running for his life and goes down yet again. 3-0 already going to the side of Agape, and they secure the warfare feats.
Daily double right there. Double kill going over to the Corki, as you stated. That fight was, I'd say another misplay on the Melio. If he's able to use the Q to disengage the Corki where the damage is at, he may have been able to save the Twitch. Or if they committed to the fight early enough, it does not seem that Alistar has taken exhaust this game, and so there wasn't anything to mitigate the damage from Twitch. Twitch gets his burn, the burn from Melio. They might have been able to take that.
Right, and yeah, taking a look at this as well too. I mean, Agape looking pretty strong early on. They're going to exchange the objectives here. Conduit just going to secure up these scrubs while the Drake is going to go over to the side of Agape. Luckily for the Twitch, not too far behind on CS, but already down 2 kills and assists compared to the Corki is not going to be a great time. And Corki has a lot of burst potential as well, too. Even though Twitch has a ton of burst potential with his ultimate, Corki can definitely match and really whittle down that health bar on that Twitch pretty quickly if he's ahead.
The difference between burst and sustained damage, Twitch is going to have higher sustained damage later into the game. His win condition really is just to not lose. If he can get, I know, forehead on that one. But if he can get to the mid and the late game of just surviving slightly behind, the opportunity will come where he outscales his opponent. That doesn't mean that Corki doesn't have a way to play either, as Corki is one of the top meta picks as an ADC in the bot lane because of his versatility and his true damage which I believe is 10 to 15%, allowing him to sufficiently chunk out and be very versatile in these fights. A fight breaks out. Jarvan's able to engage and pair with the Orianna, and we see one go down and about to be two. Lilia goes down and 2 kills, returns to Conduit Esports.
Yeah, that was actually a huge shockwave from the Orion to set that up. We actually had Titan Duff being spotted in that bush from that ward on that blue side. However, made something out of nothing there too. Kind of being sandwiched by both the Lilia and the Hui. And so looking pretty bad at first, but Hui maybe stepping up a little too far without the Lilia. And of course, the Cataclysm just locking down that Lilia and securing 2 kills. So definitely 2 kills that Conduit needed to get a little bit back in this game. They actually have a gold lead now, a slight gold lead, but still a gold lead nonetheless.
Something that I didn't catch at first, if you look ahead at the levels, Lilia's level 5, Jarvan was level 7 for that fight. Lilia did not have her ult, and she was way behind on tempo for Jarvan. Jarvan, focusing primarily on farming this game, has managed to build himself a huge lead that led itself to the success of that last play.
All right, Spiral Despair comes through. The Garen is going to flash out there. Let's see if Gav, Dougie Fresh can get out of here. I think it will be just fine. I mean, that's just Garen things, right? Just being able to sustain a lot of the damage, just run around the map. But yeah, I didn't even notice that until you just pointed out. But the jungler just gold differential in CS is actually kind of crazy here too. J4 just doing a really great job. Titan on that J4 being, definitely ahead in that fight was definitely a huge difference maker for that. I think Mango Lover's definitely been active on some of these ganks, but maybe falling a little behind on the CS. Speaking of ganks, here comes one tier from Titan Duff. The headbutt's going to knock them back a bit, and so is the Pulverite just stun things up. But as long as they just, juggle around the tower aggro, it's going to be just fine. That might change in a more upcoming patch soon, but that's not live yet. And 4 members do secure 2 kills on that bottom side for Conduit. Conduit making definitely a little bit of a comeback here after falling behind in that early stage.
With the new patch, that buff for the towers would not have applied at 10 minutes into the game. But we're going to have to see Titan Duff changing his name to Titan Diff, as he has been the playmaker for his team.
Definitely. And we can see here too, a lot of rotations here, but I think it was definitely valuable. I believe the Corki had a shutdown as well, and they're pretty low on health too. And it is still early on, so these tower hits are definitely going to start adding up a bit. Great attempt from D1 Busy to try to at least take out the Twitch, but just unfortunately not enough damage there. And great job of just juggling that tower aggro here. Lily actually coming over. Did she actually get a kill here? I might have missed it. Oh, just off on the Orianna. That's wild.
Be interested to see the vision there. We do see the vision. There was a ward within the bush, but Orianna might have been just far enough off to the side, or that Lily had to guess, and having missed, concluded that there was nobody there. Missed opportunity.
All right, and we actually do get a shutdown though finally on this Orianna, so Mango is going to pick that up off screen right there. But that's going to be definitely a good shutdown going over to Lily, who's definitely a bit behind on some of that gold compared to the J4.
Fight about to break out around the Rift Voidlings. We see both teams are rotating and getting in position to contest them. Three of them already present from Conduit.
Yeah,
3 of them already on Conduit Esports, hoping to get the 6 of them to get the increased damage from the Voidlings. We do see Garrett initiating the fight, and Lilia goes down.
Yeah, that's a huge kill early on, too. He's taking out that jungler, but there's still 3 members remaining on the side of Agape. We see the flash out from Melio, and Garen is going to go for the engage here. J4's quite low, but still tries to engage as well. Now kind of caught between all 3 members. Garen trying to go back in as well, too, peeling for the J4, and just being really annoying here, too. Really hard to take down at this point in time. Do they get it? No, not quite able to get there. The Hui is there, can throw some kind of long-range missiles, but doesn't actually quite take out the Garen. Going for a potential re-engage from Conduit as well. They're looking aggressive. I mean, look at the health bars on Agape. They're so low. Besides the Cassante, they're all pretty much one-shot at this point, too. They are thirsty for blood, and both the Hui and the J4 does go down. It's a bloodbath up here, and we see a double kill go over as well to the Orianna. Alistar goes down, and the fight continues. Mango Lover has respawned at this point in time, but now by himself, and I don't know if he could take this fight. He is 3 levels down behind both the Orianna and the Garen, so definitely not going to be a good time. Even though jungler's not here to contest the grubs for the side of Conduit, they may go for it. No, they're actually going to go back to their respective lanes and live to fight another day for those grubs.
Beautiful ult there from Oriana. It did fail initially to connect, but it did peel them off, allowing them to escape and then taking the opportunity to re-engage, getting a 2-for-1 trade off of that decision. We see the replay happening here as they do the dance of death. Alistar is the one that initially engages. Garen goes in, and then he focuses in on Mango Lover, taking them out with the Garen ult. Titan Difference using the flash to flash over the wall and reposition and find a way to re-enter the fight, which he's able to successfully do.
Yeah, between the Garen and just Emilio too, there's just so much sustain that just kept him around that fight. Definitely a better trade, I think, for Conduit in that one, feeding 2 kills over to the Oriana as well. But the rest of the team is here from Agape to challenge these scrubs, and they are going to pick up 2 of them, I believe, but it at least stops. Oh, they only pick up 1. Actually, we got 1 stolen from J4. Here comes a Cataclysm catching the Lilia, but I don't know if you really want to be stuck in there with the Lilia. Lilia's pretty healthy at that point, too. Titan Duff does go down. However, Garen's still looking pretty strong for now. Oriana going to try to make something out of nothing here, but maybe gets a little too aggressive and greedy. Here comes the ultimate from Lilia and goes down. So a huge trade going back over to the side of Agape. They actually get an ace. There was a kill on this bottom side as well, too. That's a huge swing for Agape.
Now 14 minutes into the game, the score is 10-7, but the goal differentials are approximately the same, with that last kill only putting them about 400 ahead. Leveraging that ace, we do see Agape taking the tempo here to grab this dragon, which would put them on dragon number 2 away from getting soul.
Right, and this was that bot lane fight that led to the ace for the side of Agape, and you can see here too, the Corki getting really aggressive, drops the barrier as well for good measure, and at this point in time, Mealy just does not have enough damage to take out these 2, and does go down yet again. This is, like you said, the goal is pretty close, and honestly, from both fronts too, I think both teams are playing pretty well and aggressive, and this could end up being quite the banger of a game and might go the distance.
Going to come down to Titan Duff becoming that Titan Diff once again. As I stated, him and Oriana are the bread and butter of this composition. If they can get that combo off on the designated targets, which will probably be the Corki, the Hui, maybe even the Lilia, they'll be able to carry this game. But if they're not able to land that combo, the game's going to go right back to Agape. They have very strong leads on most of the carries, and even the carry like Hui, who is slightly behind, it's not such a gap that is irredeemable. He can find his position and still play his part strong and have an influence on the remaining players of the team. He's only going to get out-traded by Oriana, but he can go toe-to-toe with any of the other 4.
Yeah, that fight, that big fight we had around the Grubs was actually pretty good for Mango Lover, because Mango Lover are able to catch up, at least in level experience, to Titan Duff, which has been huge, because that's, I feel like, the main thing that's been holding Mango Lover back a bit. So getting that experience caught up is quite nice. I feel like the late game does favor Agape a bit, maybe outside that ADC matchup, but the rest of the matchups kind of look pretty strong for Agape in this late game. What do you think? Oh, speaking of which, before we get there, we do get a fight here as well. Titan Duff caught out a bit, forced to flash out, but now we got Twitch actually just frontlining for the rest of the team, but has the damage, and it looks like the damage is not there for Agape to fight that. We do get a pickup kill for that Twitch there. Very aggressive, but and also catches another member as well. It's going to be Penguin Troopers on that Cassante, going to try to get out of here, but actually goes for a re-engage, trying to just peel for the team and maybe do some damage in the process. I think they're looking pretty good for Conduit right now, and they are quite low on health bars. Meanwhile, the turret does go down for the side of Conduit. Corki is going to secure that for the team. But the rest of the team is going to fight for this Rift Tail. We got all 5 members actually at Conduit here, and they're actually quite low. Oriana very low on mana as well, but looks like Agape is going to just give up this Rift Tailed.
All right, we're 17 minutes in the game. Score is 10-9. Gold is in favor of Conduit Esports right now. They have a lead of about 1,200. Something that has yet to come into play is going to be the feats. Both teams have about 2 feats. Well, have 1 feat and are 1 play away from getting the last. The first 3 kills have gone over to Agape, but first tower has gone over to Conduit. Both teams now stand at approximately 2 different objectives. 2 dragons in the favor of Agape, and then the first 3 grubs and now Herald in favor of Conduit. When it comes to the late game play, as you asked earlier, you know, I'm still thinking that it's going to come for Agape. They're my favorites in this game.
Yeah, and I believe Agape did secure the feats of strength after that turret that the Corki secured too. And I actually don't mind too. Yes, they lost the fight at the Rift in the mid lane area, but Rift 5s on this Corki is getting super fed, right? Already 139 CS, the highest in the game, 4-1-1. A lot of gold to his name, and that could be the win condition for them too. Even though, yeah, the Twitch caught up a kill as well, but just isn't getting as much gold on that champ as Rip 5s is too. So we're gonna have to see if that plays out favorably or not. They did give up some resources and kills for that, but I don't think it was a terrible trade for Agape.
Both teams are doing the dance of death again. They're fighting for territory. They're fighting for vision, looking for an opportunity to break the stalemate. Drizzy goes in on Melio, but Melio is able to get out. Titan re-engages and drops onto Corki using the Cataclysm, locking him into place.
Oh, and a huge shutdown. Actually, the shutdown also goes to Bam on the Twitch. You definitely love to see that gold go over to the Twitch. Great engage from Titan Duff to just secure that Corki and lock him down in that point. I think maybe even waited for the Valkyrie before going for the Cataclysm, because if you don't do that, they're just going to just jump right out of your ultimate. The Rift Herald is going to crash onto this turret, and it looks like this mid turret is going to go over to the side of Conduit Esports. They're trying to do what they can, but not able to do too much here. As you can see, Titan Duff going to be kind of aggressive, maybe steal some of the farm from Lilia as well. You know, I was saying that a lot of that farm going out the Corki was nice, but unfortunately, Rift 5s wasn't really able to make too much out of that lead. And now some of that gold going over to the Twitch is definitely not what you want to see if you're an Agape fan.
Conduit Esport now sitting about 2,500 gold ahead, largely distributed between, I think, their jungler and their mid laner still, although Twitch has managed to shorten the gold differential between him and Corki. In fact, it looks to me that Twitch is actually ahead by 400 gold at this point.
Yeah, that's pretty wild too, but definitely something that will definitely be a part of Conduit's win condition in that late game. As long as Corki doesn't really get caught out too much, I think he'll be in a good spot. And so far, I feel like outside the early game, that has not been the case. Ruinous Otacon is going to spawn on that top side. To no surprise, this has been a bloodfest. Speaking of bloodfest, this Orion is struggling to survive, but does survive. And we get a kill onto Bam. A double kill. Cataclysm goes through as well. However, Titan Duff does go down to Rip 5C4. The triple kill goes over to Bam. Bam is on the chase, trying to get down Mango. There's not much mana here, but Bam is feeling confident on this Corki. Has Emilio to back him up as well. Lila is pretty fast though, and is not going to be chased down, but a huge swing of events, and Bam really feeling himself after these recent kills, and they're only adding up even faster. Collector as well on the Twitch, looking to probably finish off IE soon to match the two items on that Corki.
A bit of a blunder there on the pace of Agape. They didn't need to commit to that fight. They didn't need to force the fight. They jumped in with a flash. I think it was from Mango Lover, looking to get a pick. Almost kills the Orianna. However, it fell just short, and then they were in a disastrous position with no escape, which resulted in a reverse kill coming from Conduit Esports, giving the dragon to them too, meaning that if they're going to get soloed, that was their late game win condition. The duration of the game, the duration it's going to take for Elder to get back on the map has just increased by 5 whole minutes.
Yeah, I guess even though Agape had a early game lead for sure, they had the feats of strength as well. I feel like these team fights have been really well executed from Conduit. I mean, it seems like Bam on this Twitch is not even checked. You know, he just frontlining, he's just doing whatever he wants, and that's not what you want a Twitch to have the freedom to do. And that was before he even spent the gold, right? Like he was only on an item and a half at that point, still picking up the triple. And now with IE finished, and maybe the upgraded boots soon, it's going to get even scarier when you have to face this Twitch.
Well, you just got to create the space for the Twitch, and if Alistar is going down or is on the retreating end, there's nobody else that's really there as a melee physical threat for Twitch. There's nobody up in his face. Lilia might be the one, but if she goes for the Twitch, the Orianna proliferates, and if they go for the Orianna like they did in that last fight, there's nothing to check the Twitch. So Twitch can afford to play up and play aggressively to ensure that his auto attacks are connecting.
Yeah, I love what Gav Dougie Fresh is doing as well. Just keeping Penguin Troopers on that Cassante on the top side. So can't really join for the team fights. That definitely gives a bit more front line for the side of Agape if Cassante was there. But you just can't let the Garen just split push the entire time, especially with 5 grubs on his side. So just keeping that top lane there and avoiding or stopping Cassante from joining the fights for Agape is definitely paying dividends for the side of Conduits.
Amount of trades going up. It looked like Hwei was trying to fight again, a way to break the stalemate, a way to get back into the game, looking for a flank, and then ended up getting caught away on the side, having to use an ability. Once it was aware that no fight was going to happen, nothing was going to break out, he went to the side wave to collect a wave and wait a further opportunity. Mango Lever is still trying to check if I can land an ability, put you asleep. I might go for it. I'm going to hit, I'm going to run, and I'm just going to see how does the fight play out.
All right, we got a headbutt pulverize from D1 Busy, but the Mango Lover does go down to the Cataclysm from Titan Duff. We get a TP actually well from Hwei, a very aggressive TP into 4 members here. Spiraling Despair is going to come through. Titan Duff is actually going to flash out to the Raptors camp, and we got Gav Dougie showing up just in time to silence the Hwei. Hwei does go down to Gav Dougie Fresh. Where's the Cassante? Yeah, he's running for his life. The whole team of Conduit is chasing after these 2 tanky champs, but they don't look that tanky in the face of this Twitch. We get the re-engage from D1 Busy to try to force them off, but they are going to secure this middle tier 2 tower as well. No objectives going. Oh no, the Ruinous Otacon is actually up, and I think Titan Duff is maybe trying to solo it. That's actually not the easiest objective to solo, but the rest of the team is joining them for the fight. But let's see how this all went down.
Replay going in here. Titan Diff looking on the side. Mango Level trying to get a trade, but Drizzy it takes the fight here. Melee was able to disengage. Titan Diff gets the pick on the Mango Lover. Now a 4v2 fight. The teleport coming in from Hwei, putting him in a disadvantaged position where he's isolated away from his teammates. Astor tries to bail them out, but now he's overextended and committed too. Garen comes in, is able to collapse, coordinate with Titan Diff to shut down Dragon Owu, and Drizzy is now running away with Penguin Troopers, but we do see that the Invisible Twitch with the movement speed buff is trying to chase him down, force him to either recall or get away from the tower, leaving a window of opportunity for that tower to drop.
Yeah, that team fight execution was just a little bit, maybe not the cleanest from the side of Agape, right? I mean, the Hwei TP, obviously not the ideal position, but even Lilia too, just kind of face checking a bush and just caught by the J4 and getting locked down from the Cataclysm is just going to spell disaster for that Lilia. I'm really liking Titan Duff's gameplay in today's match. You know, I mean, 15 out of 16 kill participation, pretty nuts. Very active on the map on that J4. Definitely a very high skill expression champion and doing a great job of expressing it in these fights. Knowing that, you know what, even I have to die for my team, I'm going to secure these, these guaranteed kills I can, and then just buy space for my Twitch to just output as much damage as possible, and doing a great job at that. We got 2 Drakes over to the side of Agape, and looks like they're going to try to fight for this one coming up soon, but I think Conduit has a little bit better positioning for the time being.
Well, teams asking the question of, what can we do, what can we take, and how do we get there for frick's sake? So Dragon's about to spawn in 30 seconds. The dance of death going into center here where both players are looking for a way in, an opportunity to trade. Mango Love will throw that ability, try to get some chip damage to set up an advantageous situation. But it's just a lot of back and forth, a lot of testing, waiting for somebody to slip up. Orianna does have TP, is TPing in despite the fight not having broken out yet. I think they're looking to commit to the Dragon now that it's up, leaving Cassante exposed in a lone top lane, giving a 5v4 man advantage to Conduit Esports.
Yeah, Agape, I mean, they're behind, obviously, but I think the biggest factor is in these team fights, they need to take out this Twitch early on to have a chance, right? That's just so much damage you're getting, just letting just come through without it being checked. I think we've seen some decent engage from D1 on that Alistar, but just not enough follow damage. And Mango Lover goes down yet again. Another Cataclysm combo from Titan Duff, and I believe Orianna was there as well to do a lot of that damage. And this looks like they might even attempt Baron. We'll see. Jungler is down. However, they don't really have the the best wave state right now. I mean, topside is pushed out quite a bit. Cassante is there. Alistar is there as well. They have vision of this. Let's see if they're going to go for the fight or not. Orianna and Garen are actually not here, so it's actually only 3 members from the side of Conduit here. Only 3 members, though, on the side of Agape as well. However, their ADC is there. They're going to try to get the Twitch. Can they get Twitch? It gets stunned up, but Bam just barely gets out for now. Titan Duff caught in a tough place. Does get out as well. And we got Derry on the Orianna just there for a backup just in case. But I think it was the right call to just pull off at that point in time, too. At least Agape do stop the Baron being taken. Maybe feeling a little too confident with their lead Conduit because they only sent 3 members. I think with 4 or 5 members for that Baron, they would have easily secured it.
You know, it's likely a misassessment. They did see that Lilia was down, wasn't going to be up for about 15 seconds. And they did see Hui was on the bot lane. If you know where somebody is, you know where they're not. And they knew that Hui wasn't going to be up there. And they thought that maybe they can take it.
Yeah, we see the Pathmaker come out trying to get out of this fight for Cassante. The rest of the team is going to join up a bit here, but the Cataclysm comes through and Mango goes down yet again to Bam, just completely exploded. Things are not looking good for Mango in this fight. I feel like every time Mango joins a fight right now, it just gets instantly blown up. And this might be the Baron that they're going for. All 5 members are finally here for Conduit, and they know they're not going to make this mistake again. They're going to try to take these out as quick as possible. Health bars are pretty full for the side of Conduit as well, and I think Agape knows this time around we're not going to contest it. We just got to farm up, defend, and see if we could pull something out here. But right now, that gold differential, 8K, almost 8K at this point too. 5 grubs, 2 mountain drakes. They even got Ruinous Otacon earlier. Like, it's just not looking great for Agape so far. What is their win condition, Professor Malice?
The win condition here is largely to try to win these team fights through their range advantage, through, it'd be Hui and Corki here. But Corki is now getting out damaged in the trades. Twitch is not worried about going toe-to-toe with them. They're willing to take these fights, and they have the engage tools between Jarvan and the displacement of Orianna to say, hey, if you want to try to poke us out, we're going to commit to this fight. And they've shown that they've had excellent I guess I'd say footwork in this game, as when we do see Agape trying to take this range advantage to poke him out, to try to chip him out, get a resource advantage to set up these favorable fights. You know, Conduit is just stepping backwards, reposition, and then they're going to step forward and challenge, hey, do you know what you're supposed to do? This is the question I'm asking you. And if they say yes, they're going to back right up again, and they're going to ask the same question again in 3, 5, 10 seconds. And they keep asking the question until somebody's out of position. And we see this happening with Mango Lover. We saw this happen with the Alistar. They would just get caught. And when one man is down, that's what Conduit is looking for, to full send it and either make the Baron play, take an objective, or commit to a fight that's going to open up the map for them.
Yeah, I think Mango Lover's got to be careful. Getting caught out quite a bit. Mango Lover's only level 13 at the moment. Same level as the enemy Melio. That is not where you want to be. Mango Lover definitely needs some levels and some gold to his name, but just has to be careful because it has been caught out maybe in 2 or 3 straight fights at this point in time too. Just spending way too much time on that gray screen. Baron buff is still up too, as they are going to try to grab this first middle inhibitor tower, but a decent amount of chunk damage coming through onto the Melio so far is going to heal up a bit. Lily going through, actually threw up the Zanyas as well. Maybe not needed. Does get like a 4-man sleep, but no follow-up damage, unfortunately. So using resources a little bit too early there. Maybe a slight miscommunication. And another Cataclysm going through on top of Mango. I mean, I think that's the 3rd or 4th straight Cataclysm kill. And just not a good time. I like the thought there from Mango, but maybe the rest of the team was just not ready, as it looks like Conduit Esports are going to just try to end this. They are going to end it. Cassante goes all out, but that's not much he can do at this point in time. Ace comes through, 12, 2, and 3 on the Twitch. 23 kill participation on the J4 from Titan Duff. And it's going to be a very decisive Conduit Esports victory in this first game.
Don't play down Darrison there. Phenomenal again. Ult from the Orianna, able to get that shockwave onto 3 of those targets, chunking them out and allowing for that follow-up play. And they maintained that position long enough for the towers. They clipped out that first tower. When the tower dropped, they were able to go right in and clean that up. Very clean game from Conduit Esports. Not the way that I expected this first game to go, but they earned every minute, every second of that victory. They certainly earned it.
Yeah, things look really good for Agape early on, but just wasn't able to hold on to that lead. And I think a big part of that was really how active Titan Duff was all around the map, farming everything, going for these kills and everything like that too, and just being all over the place and being a really spectacular jungler throughout. So, but actually quite a bit of damage on that Orion as well. You know, just a little sleeper damage that you don't expect. A lot of the kills did go over to that Twitch, but Orion dished out quite a bit as well. That's going to be game number 1 for us, though. We're going to be back with game number 2. This is a best of 3 series, so stay tuned. We'll be right back with game number 2. Welcome back to Titan Esports. We're here in week number 6 of Divinity League, and we have Conduit Esports versus Agape Esports in this week's matchup. Conduit did take the first game over Agape with a pretty decisive 1-0 lead. This is a best of 3 fearless format as well. Let's see if we can make it to game number 3 or not. What needs to happen in game number 2 for Agape for them to be able to force a game number 3, Professor Malice?
I think they need a easier to execute strategy that doesn't require positioning. I really think that's it. The coordination in first game seemed to have fell apart. Some of their players who needed to be playing further back were too far forward. They were able to get caught out. And so a front to back composition, typically utilizing a poke variety like that, requires a good sense of spacing, a good sense of ZOI, and really knowing when to tether the opposing team, when to step up and when to step back. And that was something they appeared to struggle with the tools that were available to Conduit Esports, being the Jarvan and the Shockwave follow-up from the Orianna. Now, game 2 could be a bit different as those options are no longer on the table, but if Conduit Esports brings out another dive composition, or another composition like a Wombo comp, maybe the Moo Moo Malphite kind of thing. Agape is going to be in the same position. And they are in a tough spot here. They built the lead in game 1 and they lost it. And so if this team can come back from a losing position and dominate the way they did, Agape needs to come up with a strategy that's going to maintain that lead and not give it up. Something that's easy, something that's consistent, something that they've practiced, that everybody's comfortable and is on the same page of how to execute.
That's right. I think also Conduit just played a really great game throughout. Obviously, their bot lane struggled a little bit in that early game, but in the mid to late game, they just executed really well. So I was just looking at their roster, right? I mean, Bam had a ton of kills on that Twitch. Derizen on the Orianna, top damage in the game. Titan Duff, just immaculate kill participation, just engage. And then Gav Dougie as well, just doing his thing and just staying ahead in that top lane and joining the fights when he can, and just never felt like he was ever behind in that matchup versus Cassante. So we're going to see how Agape is going to make the adjustments here. Agape is going to be on that blue side again, and they're going to ban out that Lulu yet again. Maybe one of the favorite picks for Draco, which would make sense too, because Draco did play that Melio in that last game. So probably really comfortable on those support mages. We get the Nocturne ban on the side of Conduit.
I'm trying to think what the advantage to be a blue buff here. Blue side is here. Typically in draft, you take the blue side is because you want that prio pick. There's something you're trying to deny or patch OP that you have to ensure that your team gets no matter what. And if you don't take that on the blue side, you're losing out because red has 3 different opportunities to counter. And they also have a great pyro pick opportunity with R1 and R2 if there are more prominent picks in the game than just taking one. And what makes me curious about this is Agape chose to be blue buff. They lost game 1, they have side selection, and they choose blue. So I think we'll see here in a moment, what is the pick that's so important that they would give up a 3rd counter pick?
Yeah, I wonder if part of it's just, a lot of teams tend to have much better success on blue side in general. I think it has a slightly higher win rate than red side. So that could be a part of it. We do get the Volibear pickup as the first pick for the side of Agape. Could be flex in the jungle or top lane, so going to be interesting how that's going to be going. We get Tristana picked up for the side of Conduit. Again, could be flexing that mid or bot lane. So I like these early flex pick champs because it makes it a little bit harder to direct counter, right? Sejuani definitely going to the jungle for the side of Conduit, so Titan Duff going to pick up that engage tank for them, and then we get the Vi pickup. So this is going to be a Volibear top in all likelihood, unless we see something really weird, and it's going to be interesting. Conduit will be able to counter pick that top lane into that Volibear.
That is really peculiar. Taking, not only is it a prio pick on the Volibear, but you're blind picking the Volibear as well, and then with B2 you're declaring that is indeed Volibear talk. There is no confusion about where he's going, and we can see Conduit Esports, knowing that the Volibear's top, locks in the Urgot.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm
the
really
1v1 skirmish.
What's the drop behind the draft there?
Could be a comfort pick. I'm not sure. I mean, Volibear is pretty scary in that 1v1 melee matchup, especially if you get, some items on you. So maybe not the worst matchup there. And the Kali pickup is interesting too, because maybe they're making the prediction as a Tristana mid, but that could easily be a Tristana bot. However, the picks for Agape are definitely more set in stone compared to Conduit here. We get the Braum and Misfortune ban, as well as the Targ and Poppy ban. So definitely trying to ban out that support, which I think is a good call, right? Because if you're going to try to ban out the ADC and turns out it's just Tristana anyway, then it's kind of a waste of a ban.
I'm not, the devil's in the details, and the pick order matters a lot. We do see Tristana being picked early on. ADC is typically the blind pick that you want. And ADC mids haven't been the meta for a long time. Corki sometimes gets flexed there, but it's mostly is the mage meta in the mid lane right now. And so I think there's enough circumstantial evidence to say that the Tristana was absolutely going to be the ADC there. And as we saw, Conduit locked in Ahri, which is supposed to be a strong blind pick, but they didn't need a blind pick because we've already seen the Akali. And I'm not sure the matchup between Ahri and Akali goes. I think Akali actually takes that though.
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit more skill dependent here. We get the two hook champs to round it out. It's going to be a Pyke and a Nautilus. Personally, I like the Nautilus a bit more just because it has a lot more end game pressure and utility. But Pyke early game is definitely pretty scary if you're all over the map. So could definitely be still pretty solid for the side of Agape. We're going to have to see how that goes though, as we see our respective lanes as predicted. And Conduit Esports already up one game in this best of 3. And they're one game away from securing it for week number 6. Agape needs to force a win here to have a chance at that third game. A little slow to start from the Vi there, but nothing too crazy. What are you thinking about in terms of team composition? Who do you think has the advantage here?
I want to say that it's absolutely Conduit. Agape did take your recommendation to heart. They took a very forceful composition, a dive composition, and there is some equality in the way that they picked, but I do think that Conduit has better outs and more versatility and just a higher damage threshold. Tristana's going to be a threat, Ahri's going to be a threat, and so will Urgot. And you can't necessarily burst Urgot down as easily as you can as some of the damage on, Agape's team. And we do see a 5-man invade that did not work out for Conduit. They walked in as a 5-man. They asked, do you know the question? Do you know that we're invading? Can we get the hook? And they were unable to do so. But what they did get was a flash from the Volibear in exchange for the flash on Nautilus. And that's a good trade because now Volibear is going to be at a disadvantage in the top lane, but Nautilus is not going to be penalized too much for not having that flash.
Yeah, definitely. Nautilus, especially early game too, very, very bulky and strong and can just get himself out of tricky situations with that dredge line if need be. So definitely a good trade. We'll see if that ends up punishing the top laner Penguin or not. As nice little split screen as we can see here, which is a great little addition from our broadcast staff. And yeah, I mean, overall, we'll see how these lanes shake out too. I mean, I think Volibear late game can definitely be quite the threat, but Gap played a really good game on that Garen last game. You can see already zoning off that Volibear early on.
He's able to use his EOI, his positioning. He sidesteps the Thunder Call from Volibear, leaving Volibear without many options until it comes off cooldown. It hits level 2. In the bot lane, we do see that Conduit Esports is playing respectfully of Agape. They understood they did not get the push. They were late to the lane, and that they're just going to wait for the rebound. When they have 3 points or 3 levels on Nautilus, that's going to be their strongest moment to start making a counterplay.
Oh my gosh, look at this CS difference too on this Ezreal versus the Tristana. I don't know what happened there, but definitely looking pretty strong in that early game for Agape and that bot lane. But again, we saw that last time too, and the Tristana is going to even up the CS quite a bit. So maybe it's just a wave that was just incoming at that point in time.
It definitely was a wave that at that point it was built up by the Ezreal and the Pyke, and Tristana and Nautilus there are waiting for the rebound, waiting for it to crash. They're going to make up the missing wave. And then as it starts to push back out, they're going to play aggressively here. Now, what we did miss is some fight broke out here, and Nautilus is now at about 30% HP, which is a favorable situation for Ezreal and Pyke if they want to try to take advantage of it. One hook, a little bit more peppered pokes from Ezreal, and they can get first blood on their hand.
Yeah, definitely. It could be a small, maybe skill differential in this bot lane. And we saw a similar thing last game, right? Bot lane was the winning lane for Agape in that early game, but they just couldn't really maintain their lead. Let's see how this broke down though. Nautilus does not have flash though, and so that is a huge part of it. Oh, actually, we get kind of like the double hook action there too, but trade more favorable going over to the side of Agape. The Ignite is going to tick that Nautilus quite a bit. Nothing too crazy there as expected. Ignite is going to be used from the Pike at least on D1 Busy. Nautilus still has that for later, so could probably make the second engage a little bit more favorable for them.
Something that stood out to me is the skill selection of, well, of Drac Conical. I had to make sure I said it, got his name correctly. I've been butchering names left and right today, and yesterday is too. So I wanted to make sure I put the effort to get it right. But in the Emilio game, he did not take the shields early, which is a prominent pick for that champion. And Nautilus again, he did not take the shield early, and he left himself open to a disastrous trade. If he had the shield to buffer out the damage, he still could have got some of the percent burn, not percent burn, but the burn damage, the dot over time, when trading with the Pike, while also mitigating a good chunk of the damage that was dealt to him. Instead, he opted for the slow, meaning that he wasn't going to win these trades until level 3, which is where he's at right now. And we do see that thanks to potions and pots, Nautilus and Tristana currently have the advantage when it comes to the resource of health.
Yeah, and looks like the Ignite was burned as well from that Nautilus at some point in that fight too. Looked like they're going to go for a recall. Top lane actually doesn't look too bad. Penguin Troopers doing a great job of just keeping up with CS against Gav. Actually completely even at this point in time. Flash is coming back up for this Volibear as well. So it's going to be a more or less even fight here too. I think the late game, at least a 1v1 skirmish, depending on the Volibear's build, should go more over to the side of Volibear just because of all that sustain and attack speed. But we do see Titan Duff going in for a gank here. Could be a good one, but Penguin Troopers very, very aware and is level 6 as well. So does have the Stormbringer if need be to get out of the situation. It actually gets shrunk quite a bit from Titan Duff, but it's going to get a shield back from that Sky Splitter as well. Oh, here comes the Stormbringer as well. Trying to go for the engage, just misses a bit here. I mean, it forces the flash out from Titan Duff at least. And Gav still pretty low in this health too. Needed the help for sure, but I think Penguin Troopers actually feeling pretty good right now. And here we have the flash forward actually from Mango Lover as well, trying to take a kill onto Titan Duff. Titan Duff's going to run to that turret for now. We see Pike actually rotating up towards this area as well.
Mango Lover's revenge there, an opportunity making itself available to go in and kill Titan Duff in his own jungle, failing to do that, at least making available his camps. We do see Mango Lover taking the Krugs and being in a position looking for that dive in the top lane.
Yeah, and we actually get Rip 5s getting the turret kill onto Draco on that Nautilus. So definitely went for the aggressive play, knowing that Ezreal was by himself, but actually able to pick up the kill because it got a little too aggro there. Definitely going to be a good trade for Agape. And we saw another kill. Another kill actually happened off screen. Penguin Troopers gets the 1v1 kill against Gav as well. So this Volibear's feeling pretty good at this moment in time. Might be in trouble now though. Titan Duff is going to go in. Only level 4 still. And Ari is a level down, but Penguin Troopers is quite low at this point too. Going to try stump the Ari, but not going to be enough. Feeds a kill over to Derrison, which is going to be a much needed kill for them. Because this Volibear is looking a little bit scary. Oh, we have a bush ambush here. Let's see if they go for it. Oh, we get the hook as well. Ari's going to try to dash out there, but is quite low on health. And we get the Kali assassinating and getting the Feats of Warfare for the side of Agape as well. So already another Feats of Warfare going over. We get the shutdown going over to Gav though. D1 Busy is really low on the spike. We see a TP coming through though. Penguin Troopers is going to go for the engage and Gav is going to go down. Goes down to the Pike. Grub's going to be secured for the side of Agape.
Feat of Warfare going over this time to Agape as well. Score is 5-2 in their favor with about an 1,100 gold difference. Which is very impactful at this point in the game. That's equivalent to about 10% of the gold that's in the game, or at least 10% advantage on the gold that they have over the opposing team. 10% can be substantial, and what starts today can compound and build into what comes tomorrow. One of the 8th wonders of the world is compound interest. Everything you do just builds upon itself. In League of Legends, we call this snowballing, and so having such a gold advantage across multiple different lanes may be what Agape needs to take home this game.
Definitely. Yeah, Agape looking pretty strong in this early game too, right? Things are definitely looking much better as well. Kind of winning every lane so far. So these are looking very, very good for them. Let's see how they're going to execute on these team fights. But I really like that bush ambush they had set up at that Grubs too. Just catching the Ari completely off guard. I mean, Ari has a lot of dashes and ways out of it, but if you get CC'd way too many times, you just cooldowns are too up or not up at the moment. You just can't get away. And a great TP as well from Penguin Troopers too. Just add some reinforcement for that final fight.
All right, looking back at the bot lane here, Nautilus could be looking for an opportunity to fight here. He's taking an aggressive stance, looking for a good angle for the hook, trying to bait out the Ezreal, but is unable to get him with the tethering there, missing the Q and putting him back in a defensive posture until the cooldown resets. Mango Lover facilitating a gank in the top lane and engages, and looks like they are going to go ahead and grab Gav.
Yeah, this top lane matchup was looking pretty scary too. Last game it was fairly even for the most part, right? I mean, none of them really solo killing each other, just kind of farming in lane. Kind of one of those bro lanes in a way, just gentleman's etiquette there. But this time around, it is not looking like the case at all. Penguin Troopers has a substantial lead over Gav Dougie. Dougie's already died 3 times on the Zergot too, so not having as great of a game as that Garen game, but it's definitely not over yet. Infernal Drake is going to go over to the side of Conduit. And I think the spot lane on the side of Agape is going to just go back towards the turret a bit, knowing that a gank potentially could happen. But it looks like there might be a fight breaking down in this blue side bot jungle.
Looks like Titan Div is giving up on the red buff. Instead is looking to get a priority gank here on the Ezreal, setting up a kill that goes over to the Tristana, a shutdown she desperately needed.
Yeah, definitely a big shutdown for Bam. Let's see if Mango Lover does get out here. Not he is going to be in safety for now. Dargon on this Akali is here for the reinforcements, but let's see what happens here. D1 Busy actually getting not really sure about that one. Maybe thought the teammates were there, or I don't know, didn't think that they would be CC'd there, but does kind of hand over a free kill for the side of Conduit. So Conduit getting what they need for a small comeback here. Meanwhile, the top lane is still kind of a tough matchup for Gav Dougie. Dougie just trying to get as much CS as possible. Stay at least, hopefully, a little bit even on the levels, but just not quite there. Penguin Troopers feeling pretty good about this. Rift Maker already set for Penguin Troopers. As we're going to take a look at this fight and how it broke down too. Draco just gets completely called out there too, and a great engage from the Pike. But the reinforcements from Titan Duff and Darrison was what kept the Tristana alive. Gets a shutdown on the Ezra, which is absolutely massive. Mango Lover gets away here, and D1 Busy. Let's see what D1 Busy was going for here. I mean, maybe just poking around, looking for some vision. And then just got a little too eager there without any vision. Just blind check that bush and gets caught out there.
Looks to me that he's trying to set up the fight with Akali and coordinate with them. But he wasn't anticipating, I guess, getting CC'd, misjudged the angle, misjudged the timing on that, and gave the kill right back. But he is going up top lane here to make a play on the Gav, coordinating with his team, trying to keep that momentum, keep that pressure, and proactively close out this game.
Yeah, Bone Skewer does connect onto Gav, and cease and desist is actually what's going to take it out. Penguin Troopers is actually the one to secure the kill. Titan Duff goes down to Dargon as well. This is a fight that's looking pretty good for Agape so far, but Volibear's quite low, and here comes the Stormbringer getting himself to safety. I don't think there's enough damage right now for the side of Conduit to take this fight. Volibear is quite low on health, but it is a Nautilus Dredgeline just missing that Volibear. Volibear is quite low, no mana as well too. It's going to be a tough fight if he can't get out to safety. Dargon just going to be here to match the Kali the Ahri, I should say. And yeah, they're going to reset. But another good fight going over to the side of Agape. About a 2K, a little over a 2K gold lead. Second set of grubs are spawning, and you can see Conduit definitely wants to deny this too. You don't want 6 grubs going over the side of a Volibear, especially one that's ahead by quite a bit here. We have a quick replay on this bot lane, see kind of how this fight broke down here. Decent amount of damage, and the burst damage is actually quite big, but the tower shot does a huge amount, and here we see the True Shot Barrage just missing it. Do we get a Mystic Shot here? No, not quite. So a little interesting engage right there as we see Conduit just trying to rush to grab these grubs. They want to deny the 6 grubs, and they are going to be able to do that. And oh, the flash forward too. Oh, and Rip Fives gets the solo kill on the Tristana there too. I'm sure Rip Fives is feeling happy about the zoom in one-on-one action on that ADC bot lane. Those fights always feel good as the ADC. You know, it's a pretty even fight too, just based on execution. Speaking of even fights, this is not one of those. As Penguin Troopers is going to go over towards Gavin, and Gavin just going to kind of run over to safety.
A lot of action in those last couple minutes. I haven't had a chance to get a word in. The story here is looking like this might actually be Agape's game. They're still winning in every single lane, although they are falling a bit behind the objectives. If they want to get the feed for the objectives, they have to get two more. That's going to be the Dragon and going to be this upcoming Rift Herald. However, for Conduit Esports, they just need to grab one more, and that's going to come down to who can get that first tower. But that first tower is looking like it's going to be in the favor of Agape. They're winning in every lane. They've got a lot of pressure. They got a very strong team. You know, we might even see it happen here in the top lane as Volibear does have his ult about to be up, and Agave does not have TB and will be forced to retreat soon.
Yeah, Penguin Troopers just really trying to not only delay the back for Urgot, but Urgot's out of mana, kind of low on health too. So just forcing Gav to just stay in the lane or just give up a lot of CS in the same time. Meanwhile, the fight breaks down. Bam takes out D1 Busy as well. The stun up comes through on Mango. Cease and desist is going to connect onto Nautilus, but that's not going to do any damage. First turret actually goes over to the side of Conduit. They're going to speed up this potential feats of strength for them. It's going to be 1-1, and if they secure this Drake, that is going to be feats of strength for them, as well as it will be the third monster slaying objective they secure. It looks like it's for surely going to be theirs unless a True Shot Barrage comes through by any means, but that's not going to happen. And they are actually going to get the feats of strength onto their side for once.
Well done, Conduit, finding a way back in the game. I had not realized that bot tower was chipped away and is as low as it was. I imagine that Bam Bam's bombs had a way of chipping that down. Maybe even getting some points on there to explode it and deal some trade damage over to the Ezreal. This is the position they want to be in. They're only behind by, about 700 gold. That's redeemable. It's the equivalent of 2 kills. Might be some plating or some CS. It's something they can easily make up. And the longer the game goes, the less impactful that 600 gold differential really is. By getting the feats of strength, they put themselves in a position to certainly facilitate a comeback.
All right, we get another death onto the side of that Urgot. Really tough game for Gav so far, but we get the assist coming through as well. Actually, D1 Busy was the one to secure the kill with the ultimate, but was there to help out. Penguin Troopers just take him out. Mango Lover is going to start up this Rift Herald. What do you think about this Akali build? This Akali's building a Rift Maker, which you don't see super often, or at least I personally don't see super often on Akali.
I'm not as familiar with Akali, but the Akali player I do have in one of the teams I manage doesn't typically lead with the Rift Maker. It is decent for extended fights. It's not as burst heavy, but there is the ability to get some Omni-Vamp off it. There is a bit of bulk and health to it, so you don't get killed right away. And there is a percentage burn damage that comes once you have those stacks up, if I recall correctly. And so this is not a build from Akali optimal fighting against the Ahri. This is a build from Akali optimal for fighting against the top lane, the jungle, and the support.
Yeah, the top lane, at least on the Urgot, is not going to be a huge concern for the time being. But Dargon is pretty ahead on this Akali, 4-1-1 with the shutdown as well, too. So sometimes, if you're just ahead building some more bulkier items, it's not the worst thing to prevent any comeback kills from this side of the enemy. Looking at the gold differential to about a 1.5 gold differential, and here we go, another fight going to break through. Cease and desist is going to come through onto the Urgot. Bone Skewer connects as well. This Urgot has nowhere to go, and Mango Lover is going to be one to take out Gav Dougie. This game's not over for sure, but a lot of the carry pressure is going to be reliant onto that mid lane and bot lane to secure these fights. As here comes more fights as well. They get the turret, but at what cost? We get a shutdown. That goes over to Penguin Troopers, which you don't want as well. This bear's getting scary big at this point too. Draco is going to flash out here. We see a TP, but I don't know about the TP. Oh, actually, no. It actually does take out D1 Busy, so actually quite the good TP, I gotta say. Darrison is going to pick up that kill. Maybe not the best kill to pick up yet, but the fight is still going to go through. 4 members of Agape are still here. Mango Lover looking for engage somewhere, somehow. finds Draco, but doesn't actually follow up on that too. Not the easiest target to kill. Gav is joining the fight as well, as all members from both teams look like they're positioning for this bottom Drake here. Hasn't spawned yet. But yeah, that was an interesting fight back and forth for sure. I mean, look at this too, right? The aggressive dive. I love that. The flash forward actually from D1 Busy as well. And to slam down onto Bam, absolutely huge. I'm actually surprised that no other members of Conduit actually died here, which is kind of crazy.
They're able to get out by splitting the attention here. Now, Darian had a phenomenal TP. I actually didn't think this play, but as soon as he comes in, he pops the ult, is able to get the charm, throws out the Q, and evens out the score. This is a saving grace for Conduit. Conduit had overextended to get that tower, was about to get caught out, and they're able to actually walk out with an even trade.
Yeah,
Meaning that the blunder of staying ended up being, of course, correct. We're now like 14-8 in favor of Agape, but the goal differentials is still something that it can be redeemed. It's about 1,500.
The game's definitely not over by any means, and you know a lot of that gold is probably the gold differential is probably mostly on that top lane if we're to look at it carefully too, right? So if you take that out of the equation, or if you take out Penguin Troopers early on in a fight, or if you just split pushing, it's actually not too bad for the side of Conduit. But yeah, Darrison playing really well on this Akali too. I mean, I was shocked. I was like, there's no way Akali TPing into all these melee engages, but was able to weave around the opponents quite well. And maybe this is the answer they need for Penguin Troopers, because clearly Gav's not going to have a great time laning against this Volibear, being so far ahead at this point in time. But the Ahri has a lot of dashes and ways to, you know, maneuver around this bear quite well.
Looks to me that Conduit Esports is actually leading on gold for the players that matter. The Sejuani, the Ahri, and Tristana all have a gold advantage over their counterparts. Now, Gav looks like he's out of position here, about to get caught out, but is going to be saved by interference from Titan Diff and the rest of his stuff and the rest of his teammates.
That's a little bit, maybe a little bit diff too. We'll see how that goes. 100% kill participation on Titan Duff, which is kind of crazy. We saw a lot of kill participation on that J4, but looking to improve that high mark even more in game number 2 here. They are down on kills, but they're not that down, and the Rift Arrow is going to crash, but the fight's going to break down in this tri-bush instead. Draco quite low is going to be the first one to fall. Rip 5 is going to take that kill, but here comes the Akali is going to take out Bam on that Tristana, and Darrison taking out D1 Busy, but Akali is going to be shut down from Gav. It's a bloodbath here in this bot lane. I can't really even tell who really won the majority of that exchange here. I think Agape is going to be the one that comes out ahead with one additional kill, and they're going to secure up this Drake.
I have to agree that is a net positive for Agape. They further increased the gold. It was around 1,500 before, and now it's a little bit closer to 2,000. Having taken that Drake, while it is going to help delay the possibility of the Elder Drake coming into the game by 5 minutes, giving him a little bit more time to play out the game before there's a game-ending strategy on the map.
Yeah, as we see this fight breakdown too, just such a small choke point as well. I don't know who you rather be in this team fight. We see actually a TP coming through as well. I think this was Gav that came through. No, it was Penguin Troopers. Actually, yeah, I didn't even realize that Volibear actually came for this fight too, but does flash forward as well. Does take out Darrison, which is going to be a big kill. But the shutdown going over to the side of Gav is pretty nice too. It helps him get a little bit back into this game, because as you can tell, that gold differential on that top lane is not great, and you know he is one of the primary front lines for the team, so definitely wants to be able to build up the items for that. Obviously 2 items on the bear as well at this point in time, and yeah, things are still looking pretty good for Agape, I gotta say, but there's some hope. There's some hope for sure if you're a Conduit fan.
Well, there's a will, there's a way, and most people, they fail not because they shoot too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. And so what I mean by this is that Conduit Esports really just needs to try to give it the roll and shoot for as many successful plays or as many difficult plays as they can, looking for the ways to upset the game. If they take these and they fail, they're still in a bad position as they already were. But if they take these and they succeed, they have the opportunity to flip the game, which is exactly what they need.
That's right. We see a decent chunk of damage exploding on this top turret. 3 members on the side of Conduit trying to push it down here, but we have members of Agape looming around here as well. D1 Busy is here, so is Mango Lover, just within range too, to reinforce his Volibear if need be. Ultimate is up for all members as well, so this could be a pretty big fight here. Oh, we get the Bone Skewer actually going to connect on Sedrani, but not really who you want to pick up there. I mean, these are two very bulky frontline too. I mean, it's even if you pull them towards yourself, like what are you really going to do with that, right? As long as you don't get the Tristana, it's not going to be super valuable, and Tristana could always just leap out of there as well.
Leaf's got a pretty long cooldown. She needs to be cautious now that it's down. I don't think there is enough protection for Tristana with all the dive options that Agape has afforded to him.
Yeah, I see. It almost looked like a flash forward from the Tristana. Very interesting, but maybe trying to avoid the Stormbringer. However, still goes down to Penguin Troopers, but the shutdown is big on the side of Titan Dove. Taking out that ball bear is absolutely massive, and now a huge charm. Mango Lover going to try to run to safety, but the dash forward from the Ahri is going to secure that kill as well. Are they really going for the objective when there's a whole fight happening? I don't think that's the best idea here. Nautilus quite low as well. Runa's Otacon doing quite a bit of damage to the side of Conduit. They're kind of caught between the Runa's Otacon and the enemy team, which is not helping their fight at all. Meanwhile, we got the squishier carries on the side of Agape just holding it down a bit here. Fight kind of went all over the place here, I gotta say. You know, let's take a look at this and how it broke down. First, it's going to be on the Nautilus. Not the ideal target, but at least chunk him down early on. And we see the flash roar from Tristan trying to avoid this ball bear, but just not enough. And just getting stunned up. Can't really jump at us at all. And I don't think that rocket jump was even up on cooldown after just spending it. But a big shutdown going over to Titan Dove. Taking out that ball bear is absolutely crucial. And we see the flash forward from Gav as well. Trying to take out this Pike, and does Pike go down? Yeah, Pike did go down at this point in time too, but Gav aggroing the Ruinous Otacon was probably not the best idea and is going to be executed from that Akali. Rest fight just kind of fizzles out a bit from there.
I like the idea he had. He thought a team fight was going to break out around it. He wanted to activate it to deal damage to Agape, but he didn't think that it's Akali, it's Ezreal. They don't want to be there. They have the option to disengage, and it's going to be his team that is walking through it, wading through it, and taking the damage. The idea is there, but the circumstance was just incorrect.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit tankier items for this Urgot now, which is definitely going to be good, right? Be able to sustain some of these fights. Has the stairs gauge finished at this point in time too. Volibear going for kind of a more AP, bruiser build here, which is interesting for sure. We'll see if is able to keep up with the sustain from the Urgot or not. Probably will, at least in the 1v1 fight, but isn't built as tanky as you would expect. Compared to maybe some other traditional Volibear builds. Here we go. We have a fight breaking down. Gav caught in a tough place yet again. Almost definitely going to be taken out here. Mango Lover is going to take the kill. We get two tanks coming over to kind of reinforce it. Tristan's on the way, but they just don't have enough damage to the two of them, so they're going to just, scare him off a bit, push him out of the jungle, but no other additional fights. Gav does go down yet again, and the stairs gauge is going to be on cooldown. Bone Skewer connects onto Draco. However, Draco is a pretty bulky target. Not easy to take down. Neither is Titan, but they're going to try to. Agape comes through. The TP from Penguin Troopers come in just in time as well. And a huge shutdown going over the side of Rip Lives on the Ezreal. But Akali goes down as well to Bam. And here comes Darison on the Ahri. Can Darison pull out some magic like before? Flashes out here, and looks like Nautilus is going to go down too. There's not enough members on the side of Conduit. Can they pull off this defense here? The Bones here are going to connect onto Bam. Bam's going to ult away here. The Ignite actually goes on top of Bam. Bam gets away for now, and no, it does finally go down, but does manage to take out Pike in the process. Stormbreaker comes through from Penguin, hits absolutely no one at this point in time, but is going to get to safety here. These fights are messy for sure, but they're fun to watch.
Very messy fight here. Tristana makes some interesting positional choices in this overall fight. And we'll see when they group back up in this replay exactly how that happens. So you see Tristana on the top, she's catching the farm, and she's trying to hover around and find her way into the fight. And what she needs to wait out for is going to be the number of engage tools that the opponents have. Once they're down, she has the ability to walk up. She can walk up and auto attack here, but ends up walking across the wall, taking time off of her ability to do some auto attack resets, and ends up having to wait for the Akali to blunder and run back in. This might be her opportunity to take the fight. She's not waiting to play around the Ahri. Ahri does get the charm, but does get hooked in the process. And without a bomb or another big way to chunk nobody to front line, she has to disengage and peel back again.
Yeah, I really like the plays from Darison on this Ahri. I mean, very confident, but really great just weaving back and forth, but maybe giving a little false confidence to Bam. Bam does take down Pyke, though, which is actually quite massive. And we see the Stormbreaker just not hit anyone there, but I think Penguin Troopers have played a pretty great game, all things considered. Maybe just one missed ultimate, not the end of the world. As Gav actually respawns for the second part of that fight, too, after going down early on. Gold differential is still on the side of Agape. 3K gold lead, 2 Drakes to each side, 3 Grubs on each side as well, too. I mean, overall, it's still a fairly even game. I think Titan Duff going down early in that fight was definitely what spelled a little bit of a disaster for Conduit because, Titan Duff just kind of holding it down for the team, tanking, doing all the CC, and just being a very annoying front line. With Urgot being kind of behind and Nautilus being Nautilus as a support, just the rest of your front line just not nearly as strong here. Potential fight goes through. Bone Skewer completely catches Draco, gets completely exploded, but D1 Busy also dies quite quickly as well. We see a TP coming through. It's going to be Urgot joining the fight. Mango Lover is going to dash away from the charm. Oh, avoids the Glacial Prism as well, just moving on them here. Now goes back for the re-engage. However, Urgot is going to take down Penguin Troopers. A little role reversal there too. Titan Duff does take down Mango Lover. And this fight is looking like it's all Conduit here. It's going to be an ace, and that's going to be Baron for them too.
That's going to be a massive tempo swing. So right before this play, the gold differential was about 3,000 in favor of Agape, but now it's about 100. And once they take that Baron, it's going to be 1,400 in the favor of Conduit. Conduit just flipped the game with this play alone, and it comes down to Bam having great positioning, able to get max amount of DPS off, and their team really peeling and creating the space for them to do the damage here.
Yeah, and we see it. Not only do they get the Baron, they get the Ruinous Otacon to boot. That's definitely going to be nice to have here, too. We do see Pyke showing up around here. D1 Busy, I don't know about this one. You're kind of by yourself. I'm not really sure what the Bone Skewer is there for, but D1 Busy is going to be able to get out of this area at least. But a huge swing going over to Conduit. And now look at that. They have the 2K gold lead. It was like 30 seconds ago I was talking about how there's a 3K gold lead for the side of Agape, but the huge swing events in that last fight completely shifted everything around.
Very much so. The score is now 24-20, but it is in the favor of Conduit. They have the Baron. They have the Otacon buff. This is their moment to shine. This is their moment to close out the game. They want to elevate the game state. They might be looking at a 4-1 split or perhaps a 1-3-1, but I think it's going to be 4-1 unless their single pushers are strong enough to do something on their own, and I don't think they are. They need as much utility as possible to help protect the Tristana because that's where the damage lies. That's where they're going to be able to kill and remove these tanks. Ari does have a split push because she has TP up, but is forced to use it or chooses to use it to follow up on Titan Duff. We might see an engage option here.
Ooh.
Looks like Ari almost gets picked out.
Oh,
and now is fleeing for her life.
Yeah, Ari gets completely shut down. Maybe getting a little too aggressive. Rip Lives is going to pick up that kill. Every kill here is going to matter because that's going to be one less Baron buff they have to deal with. Gav, though, is definitely a lot tankier than he used to be, too. So feeling a little more confident. Mango Lover trying to secure the Scuttle Crab just to get as much vision as possible for the rest of the side of the team here. So far, Volibear actually went down at some point in that fight, too. Actually, that's actually a huge pickup for the side of Conduits. I don't know if they're going to continue with this fight or not. Health bars are kind of low, especially on Titan Duff as well. But they do pick up the turret. I mean, with that Tristana, 3 grubs, it's just going to be completely shredded. They're going to try to get as much damage as possible. But that True Shot Barrage connects onto 3 targets, doing a huge sizable amount of damage. But I don't know if Rip Lives can do much by himself here. Mango Lover is joining the fight. Here comes B1 Rizzy as well. Doesn't actually land the Bone Skewer. It looked... That's weird. I actually thought that was definitely going to connect on top of the Nautilus at a minimum, but it looked like a short range one for some reason. They're going to be content on taking. Yeah, probably didn't charge enough. Is going to be content on taking that middle inhibitor turret and tower as we're going to go for this Drake fight. This is going to be a pretty big fight coming to. Mango Lover actually getting super aggressive. I don't know if you want to blind check that bush here. Mango Lover is trying to get out here at this point too. A lot of CC coming through as well. You can see just going to be ulted from the Urgot. That's going to be a huge pick off here. Things are starting to crumble a bit for Agape. Can they make a comeback or not is the real question. Bam gets another kill, and that's going to be a killing spree for him. And here we see Rip Lives goes down to the Ari. Another ace going over to the side of Conduit. They didn't lose a single member, and they pick up the 3rd Drake there on Soul Points. And the goal differential just only increasing by the second.
That was a disgusting team fight. The way that it was played out, I was really thinking this was going to be a mistake on the case of Conduit. They're at half health. Their opponents have just respawned. They haven't been able to spend a goal that they got from the last play. You know, and yet when they walk in here, they all get separated.
Yeah, it's tough too. I mean, Penguin Troopers is coming from the top side. Meanwhile, Mango Lover just gets completely caught out, and now Penguin Troopers is caught by himself. It has to fight Gav, but Darrison comes in too. Darrison, I feel like, has been playing absolutely immaculate this game too, just really helping out the team whenever possible and just being all over the place on that Ari. And you know, Dargon is not long for this world at that point in time too. Oh, actually almost takes down Bam in the process. Not quite though. And things are looking pretty dire for Agape now after an early game lead, but they're just not winning these team fights now.
Oh, and Bam had great positioning in that fight as well. When he got caught out, he was able to, well, he used his rocket jump to get in to secure the kill, get the reset, rocket jumped out, and then used the flash to reposition further. He was in a position where he was completely surrounded, and yet he made it out alive. And more or less unscathed, keeping that high DPS that Tristana gives at the late game active and going for his team, allowing them to get the ace, allowing them for them to get the third Drake. Now, 34 minutes into the game, the score is 25-26 in favor of Conduit Esports, with a near 6,000, actually over 6,000 goal advantage in their favor.
Yeah, it looks like they're probably going to be. Oh, go ahead.
It happened. These happens at least once a broadcast. It's almost guaranteed. It's inevitable, as they might say. But not only do they have the gold advantage, they have the EXP advantage as well. Many players already being level 18 on Conduit Esports, with no players level 18 on Agape.
Yeah, pretty wild too, especially given how big of a lead Penguin Troopers had in that early game too. But I think a big part of the problem here is Mango Lover's face checking a lot of these bushes by himself, whereas you probably want someone bulkier like Penguin Troopers doing that too. And that's the tough part with Pyke, right? You don't provide as much bulk as a Nautilus does in this late game. So you really only have Penguin Troopers as the main option to kind of check these blind spots here. You see the Bone Skewer connect actually the combo from the Ezreal actually really chunked down that Ahri. But how did they get through this front line? Look at how disgusting this front line is for the side of Conduit. You just can't even get to the Tristana in the back. Meanwhile, Tristana just shredding your structures, your turrets, your inhibitors. We get a big Bone Skewer coming through, and Titan Duff actually does go down. A big shutdown. This might be the opening they can get. Cease and Desist is going to connect on top of Bam. Bam's going to try to jump out there, but no, gets shut down from Rip Lives. They're trying to pull off defense. Can they do it? It's just Gav and the Ahri left. It's a 2v3, but we get another shutdown going over to the side of the Pyke. Darrison probably won't die here too, but I don't think we'll be able to pick up any kills either by himself. It's going to probably run to safety here, trying to get that inhibitor as we see in that bottom right screen. But here's a recap of the fight and how it went down. And just look at this go. I mean, I didn't think they were able to turn this fight, but Titan Duff just get a little caught out here. A big Bone Skewer to set things up.
Well, 2,000 gold ends up going over to Agape here. They're about 8,000 gold behind after the towers had fell, but they're now only about 6. And ZOI and parallel trading is a significant part of this fight. You saw, Sejuani get picked out under the tower in a 1v5 scenario where none of her teammates can follow up on it. They go down. Now they got the number advantage. They continue to split them up using the cease and desist to lock down the biggest threat, and they were able to overtake them. So now we're at 29-28. The score in that regards in favor of Agape, but the gold disadvantage, or the gold differential, is 6,000 still in favor of Conduit. This was an opportunity for Agape to catch back up, and they capitalize on it, but it's not that bad for Conduit, as they were able to remove some towers and knock down an inhibitor as well, creating the pressure on the map that's going to facilitate the current play that's going, which is Baron. And I finally get to say this, it is Baron time.
That's right. And Baron time's going to go over to Conduit Esports. They pick up another Baron as well. The mid inhibitor has respawned at this point in time too. Honestly, I think if Titan Duff doesn't get caught out there, could be it could have been the end of the game there. But that was not going to be the case, and Agape's not going to go down without a fight. Incredible cease and desist from that Vi as well to neutralize that threat. As they see that they are going for a push here, waiting for Darrison to show up on the Ari. No turret here, so should be a pretty easy inhibitor to take if they can just get through the damage from the side. Oh, we get another Bone Skewer. Going to be dashing out of that is Titan Dove. Not the best target for Bone Skewer, but I feel like if you take out Titan Duff early, it could be pretty good. We see the flank coming through from Pango Troopers, but gets completely shredded from the Tristana, and now D1 Busy goes down as well, too. This could be the end. Dargon does execute the Tristana in the back line. Titan Duff actually taking out Rip Lives as well, too, and that's going to be huge. That's a lot of their damage. It's just Akali left at this point, trying to TP back to defend, but I don't think Akali can fight this 1v5. It actually gets charmed as well, and is going to be completely taken out here, too. A huge comeback victory for Conduit Esports as they pick up the 2-0 victory over Agape in week number 6 of Divinity League.
One thing I can at least praise Agape for is they did see improvement between their two games. Game 1, they had the lead, but they dropped it and were not able to recover. This game, they built the lead and they still dropped it, but they were able to recover it, and it became a little bit more of a touch and go. And at the very end, and it finally ended up being too much, but it was not to the same degree as it was last time. This shows that despite a series of unfortunate events or unfortunate games, they do remain competitive and are something to be taken seriously throughout the remainder of the season.
That's right. And I mean, I got to say, too, I was thinking this throughout the game. I think Rip Lives played a really great game out of Ezreal, right? Just always being in the right position. But I think the tough part is sometimes the rest of his teammates got caught out and just didn't have the front line to sustain that. But was really landing a lot of the skill shots quite well and dishing out a lot of damage. It was just not enough to take out the enemy team. And I mean, there's just so much front line, right? The Nautilus, the Urgot, the Sejuani as well, just made it really difficult for this side of Agape. But well played, though. They definitely put up a fight in both games. Unfortunately, not able to secure the victories against Conduit Esports, as Conduit Esports is going to move up to, I believe this is what they'll be now 5-3 after this. No, 4-2. So 4-2. So still definitely in contention for those playoff standings for sure. Yeah. Fantastic game back and forth too. Any final thoughts on this one, Professor Malice?
I guess words of encouragement, but I might say if I were the coach of Agape is to work on that positioning and understanding the roles of your characters. We did see the jungler get caught out a lot in that first game, but they do have strong fundamentals. They were able to take the lead, and they just need to figure out how they can prevent themselves from bleeding out that lead. Don't give up. You guys have performed admirably, and there's going to be another day, another game, another opportunity to succeed, and I'll be looking forward to the results that you bring next week.
I sure will be as well too. Best of luck to both teams, and a quick recap too. Kiss, Marry, Kill. We're on the same page here, Professor Malice.
Save Brainwave.
Yeah, our production staff, broadcast, Sherrigan, and Observer War Eagle are on the same wavelength themselves, just on, two separate pages. But let us know your thoughts down below. And of course, we have some merch as well. So if you want to support Titan Esports, be sure to check out our merch store. We plug it every week, but there's always more merch available. FOFesports.com/Titan. And definitely going to be the place to get any of your merch you need. I know it's still a little bit chilly at some parts of the country, but it is warming up as well too. They got some nice t-shirts, some hats as well for you all. But that's going to do it for us. Any final thoughts on the week, Professor Malice?
Oh, I've got no final thoughts, but I will say you should cop yourself a hoodie because you want to look good, feel good, and do good. And I've been eyeballing those for a while. I might be putting in an order in myself here soon. Perhaps I can even get one on my model. Now that would be something to see.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I was like, if you could get the hoodie on the model, that would be wild. But we'll see how that goes. Anyway, appreciate you all for joining in. Shout out to Sherrigan and Warrigo for running the scenes behind the scenes. And of course, everyone that tuned in. Until next time, have a good one and catch you all next week.
Struggling today.